Hello, my friends, and welcome to a space where pleasure is treasured, relaxation is not what you think it is, and life firing on all cylinders is what we're about. If you are somebody who wakes up every day asking for way more, consider this your happy place. Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm your host, Heather Nichols. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. It's Heather Nichols here, and I am in this beautiful countryside, the Lake District in very northern and fairly remote England. Really excited today to be with you and talk about nourishment, food, eating for space. One of the things that has been really cool for me in my journey with my body and with food, and especially once I added the tools of access consciousness to my repertoire, was to have a very different sense of what nourishment actually is. And to start to be aware that nourishing my body is something that happens from the land. It happens energetically. It happens from, like, in so many ways that are different than just with food. And sometimes actually even greater or easier for my body to absorb nourishment than through food. Food's been one of those things for me that has been I've had an interesting journey with it in my lifetime. I've had a lot of different food sensitivities, like very sensitive digestion, and all kinds of just ways where I felt like food just didn't really work very well for me. It was hard to figure out what to eat. And I've done a lot of different diets, and I've literally done everything. I've been vegan, I've been vegetarian, I've been paleo, I've been grain free, I've done keto, I've done all of it, carnivore, uh, and um, and it's all been a contribution to me at various times. But it was when I really started to expand my sense of nourishment of my body that I started to really recognize that I could lay on the ground and receive nourishment. I could be in a beautiful place like this and receive nourishment. I could have energy work and receive nourishment. And that for me and my body, and so many of the bodies of the people that I work with, like the seekers of the world, the humanoids, the X-Men of the world, our bodies are so much more energetic. And it's not about filling them up with food, it's actually about creating something greater and using food as a way to do that, and also using no food as a way to do that. I love that as soon as I came out here to start to record this, there's children laughing and playing in the background. and it's like I could be like, oh, annoyed about that, but I children playing and laughing is never annoying to me. But it's like even that is something that can be nourishing. And so whatever it is that you've decided nourishment is, whatever conclusions that you have about food, about eating, and how you nourish your body, would you be willing to let that go and start to get curious about something different, and perhaps something that would be even greater than that? So, one of the things that has helped me a lot is to recognize that my body does not always need food, want food, desire food, even if it seems like it is hungry. And so I've started really asking my body if there's like a sensation of hunger. It's like, do you desire food? And I've made some videos recently where I'm doing that, and my body will lean forward or it will lean back. And that's a great way to start to communicate with our bodies, is to just be like, hey, do you desire this or not, or do you desire something else? Ask the question, see if your body leans forward, see if it leans back. If my body leans forward, I'm trying to get my camera to lighten up a little bit here. I'm working with I'm working with limited resources here for the podcast. I mean, the great news is I have a fantastic backdrop, but I'm out here partly also because there's the Wi-Fi at this place is completely insufficient for a podcast. So I am on my hotspot and I have to stand as close to the outside as possible to get my hotspot to be as good as possible. The things we do. Um, so that could be something that you could start to play with is when it comes to food, when it comes to nourishment of your body, it's like ask your body, and you can stand up, get in a neutral position, and then just, okay, body, do you desire this? Yes. It goes forward. No, it goes back. And right now my body goes back. Do you desire food? It's like a no, and so cool. So I will just, let that be. And um and the whole idea with this for me is like I have so much gratitude for food. I love food. I think it's beautiful. It's such an incredible part of life. The enjoyment of food, the hedonism of food, putting things in our bodies that are just delicious and make our bodies sing. And for me, that also relates to like it has to be done at a moment when my body desires it. And it also has to be something that is going to create more space and going to create more for my body. And how do we know what that is? And because it's also an ever evolving conversation that we can have with our bodies. And so being in the question, do you desire food? If so, what? Maybe you go to your refrigerator, or if you're at a restaurant, you can go to the menu, look at the menu, see where your eyes fall first. That's a lot of times how I choose is like, I will open the menu and be like, body, what do you desire? And wherever I look is like, and then I just check in and go, is that going to work? And a lot of times that's what I end up going with. And the interesting thing about it is it's like when we let our bodies lead, our bodies will choose things that are so different than what we might think they would desire. And I think there's a big piece here about like letting your body lead, and if you're willing to do that, because so many of us think that our bodies can't be trusted, and we kind of have this old, very outdated idea that if we trust our bodies to just do, if we give them like leadership over what it is that's true for them, that they're just going to be gluttonous and hedonistic, and they're going to be, just like always eating and always, just doing things that are bad for us. Well, what if that's not the case? What I have found is my body loves to move. My body loves to not be full. My body really loves the sensation of beautiful food that is nourishing to me. And it also loves to be nourished in a variety of ways that have nothing to do with eating, but where I'm acknowledging that I'm like taking in nourishment from my environment. Like earlier today, I went down to this beautiful lake down here, and there's a sauna. I took a sauna and jumped in the lake and got back in the sauna and back in the lake. And it was so nourishing. It was like it just made me so happy. My body was so happy. And that was such a gift, And then I walked back here, like up the hill, and my body was really happy walking, walking up the hill and like exercising and moving. And so our bodies are not as lazy as we think they are. They actually love to be alive, to have a lot of vitality, to be very vibrant, to have a lot of contribution. And I like my body loves to receive body work and energy work and time in nature and movement. And I actually spend a lot of my free time, like outside of when I'm, working and facilitating classes and stuff like that. I spend a lot of my time with my body, moving my body. Like I move my body many times a day. I've gone for a couple walks today. I'm sure I will go for another one. I'm going to do some bowspring movement. And so like keeping like my body is like such a huge part of my living. And I my point of view is like they should be, like our bodies are what are like we're here to enjoy this planet with our bodies, and so let's include them. Let's give them leadership over the choices that involve them. What would you like to wear? Where would you like to go in the world? How would you like to get there? There's just so many. Like recently, I traveled from Budapest to Croatia, and I just knew my body did not want to get on a plane. And the flights were not really, they didn't work out logistically, but that's usually how it happens. And I ended up um, in a very roundabout way getting a ride from a friend who drove me from Budapest um, to Croatia. Well, we went together and it was very fun, very generative. And that's just, it's like when our bodies desire things, if we don't have to figure out how, and we don't have to control our bodies, and we don't have to like dominate over our bodies, but we can listen to them. We can tune into them, we can listen to them, we can give them leadership over what it is that they would like to have, and then we don't deny that. We get into creation with our bodies. It's amazing what can show up. I have so many stories about like both of the past two cars that I've purchased. My body created magically and miraculously. I won't go into the story, but both times my body was wanting a new car, and I basically said, okay, body, if you want to create it, go for it. Like, let you go. Like, I know you're going to, so go for it. And it did. And it was relative ease both times. Um, and there was car accidents that were part of, the creation, but it was fine. It was actually fine. And so when we don't have points of view and we don't think we need to control, then our bodies can really come in and say, hey, this is what's true for me. This is what I desire. This is what I'd like to have. This is what I'd like to eat. This is when I would like to eat. This is how I would like to not eat, all these things. And we can start to really respond to our bodies in a very nourishing way. Now, this is a huge topic, and I'm actually going to be starting a series called Eating for Space on July 24th, where we're going to go into this I think it's kind of every other day, um, uh, Zoom calls, and doing some energetic exercises, exploring your communion with your body, and so that you can have a greater sense of listening to your body in regards to food. And there's a lot of different kind of fingers to this conversation that are beyond the scope of the podcast, but where it's like a lot of times we change what we put into our bodies food wise, or how much, or when we're eating, based on social expectations from other people, um, social norms, and like being polite, that kind of thing. Eating all the food on your plate and all that kind of garbage. And then also like we have so many points of view about what we eat, what's good for you, what's not good for you. And I would say people really, food is one of those things that people really use to check out. And what if you didn't have to use food to check out? What if food could actually be something that created more aliveness in your body, like nature, like movement, like plunging in the lake? If it was something that created more aliveness, and as such, like you could be very deliberate with how you create your body with food and the food that you put in your body, so that you can have even more aliveness. And I have really been around I've had such a huge journey with this. My When I was 22, I had just graduated from college, and I had read a book about animal rights. It was called Diet for a New America. It was a very popular book. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even stand what's happening to the animals. I need to I needed to become vegan and not eat animals or animal products. And I hadn't really thought about healthy eating before that. I was 22 years old. You know, at 22, a lot of people don't think about that because they don't really have to. But I had also been sick a lot. I had some health stuff going on when I was a teenager, and I didn't have the healthiest body. And I didn't really realize it. I didn't feel that great, but I didn't know how great I could feel. And so I became a vegan, and and it was this totally different way of eating. It was like my body, I didn't really think I wanted to eat that way. Like, if you had asked me at the time, like, does your body want this? I would have said no, only because I didn't understand what that even meant. You know, I wouldn't have thought that, my body would really thrive on a vegan diet. And this is the thing, is when we introduce new choices, new ways of eating, new ways of being, new ways of functioning, it's going to feel very weird at first. It's not going to feel, um, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's not going to feel, we challenge ourselves. We have to challenge ourselves. And so I was challenging myself by being vegan, and I had to learn a lot. I had to learn a lot about how to eat vegan and how to cook, like, because at the time it was 1993. Nobody knew what a vegan was then. Um, and um, and so I had to, I really had to start cooking for myself. I didn't really know how to do that, period. And so it was this whole like new adventure into a new way of eating, and it felt weird at first. It was uncomfortable. I didn't, my body had to adjust, and that was kind of a strange period. But what started happening fairly quickly was like I started waking up with so much energy. I started feeling fantastic. I lost all of my college weight that I had gained. I had, like living on, cheese and pizza and pasta in college. That all went away very quickly. And I wasn't foggy headed anymore. My digestion improved. All these things happened. And the only thing that had changed was my food. And at that time, I was, a 22-year-old. There's a lot that I didn't know that I know now. And there's still a lot that I don't know, which I love learning. But it was such a transformation that I didn't expect, because I didn't go into it as a health choice. I went into it as a ethical choice. It was just like, well, I don't like the treatment of animals being like this, so I'm going to have to just not participate in that. I had no thought about what that was going to create for my body, but it created so much for my body. And it got me started on a path of like health and nutrition that continues today. I'm 54 now. I was 22 at the time. So 32 years later, it's like I've played so much with different foods, different diets. Recently, I've been playing with intermittent fasting and, like metabolic health and how to eat for greater metabolic health. And that's a huge topic, but like our metabolic health is at the root of everything. Like it's the poor metabolic health can be the cause of so many diseases and illnesses. And I've been absolutely blown away what I've been able to change in my body from focusing on fasting and like eating for greater metabolic health. There's a lot of information out there. And it's not for me about like following a certain diet, because my diet evolves all the time. Like, even in the past few days, I've gotten some new information about food that is like, makes so much sense to me. And I'm like, wow, okay, so this is how I can look at each meal that I eat, and just like if I'm looking at what nutrients am I getting, it's like a totally different perspective on that. That's really great for metabolic health. So now I start to play with that. And like I just had a salad a little while ago, and in that salad, I put things that I wouldn't normally put in the salad. And if I had asked my body, like I had sardines, like I've never eaten sardines in my life. But I bought some, I was in Spain and I bought some, and I was like, yeah, sardines, they're really good for you, blah, blah, blah. I had learned some things about sardines, and then I saw them and I was like, I'm going to try them. And it wasn't like I loved the taste of them. I didn't not like it, but my body felt so good eating these sardines and the salad. And I put things in the salad that I just wouldn't normally put in a salad. And that was just from learning, from like getting new information about nourishment, and then just trying it, like seeing how it went, you know. So I asked I asked my body, you know, would you like these things? And my body was like, yeah, you know. But it had such a different energy because it wasn't like, would you like chocolate? You know, I mean, that's always going to be a yes to my mouth, to my taste buds, to my microbiome that really our microbiomes tend to like be at the root of our cravings, and they tend to crave things that are familiar. Um, and so chocolate, yeah, you know, but my body doesn't actually always desire chocolate. I just might think it does, you know. And so between like learning new, getting myself educated and learning new things about food and nourishment of all forms, like nature, you know, movement, etc. And then trying new things that make me slightly uncomfortable or that are not familiar to me. I don't even know if it's light or heavy. That's a tool we use in Access Consciousness. It's like, I'm not even sure if this is light or heavy. It's just, I'm just going to try it because it seems like a good idea to try it. And some things it's like clear that it's not. But and then see how your body responds. And that's basically how it was when I was vegan. It was like I just tried it, and over not very much time, my body responded so favorably. And then I started, there were all these new foods that I had made available to myself that I didn't had never eaten before, I didn't really know about. And then it was like, wow, this is incredible and this is so delicious and this makes me feel fantastic. And a lot of times now, that's one of the things I see with eating for space is that when we eat for space, we eat to create space and we eat to create a generative reality with our bodies. And we eat and we also don't eat, you know, to create a generative reality with our bodies. Um, we are we're like entering into a new way of being with our bodies, trying new things, seeing how they land. And so often it seems strange at first, but it's like you're opening doors to a new universe, and then your body's like, yeah, this is fantastic. Like, what else, you know? And I mean, I feel fantastic. Like, I'm never tired. I never get sluggish. Like, I just don't, even if I don't sleep very much, like, I don't get tired. I have a lot of energy. My body feels really, really good almost all the time. And when it doesn't, I'm like, okay, that doesn't work for me. I change it, you know? And sometimes I change it by eating. Sometimes I change it by not eating. Sometimes I change it with movement, with nourishing my body, with going outside or jumping in the lake or getting some energy work or body work, having my bars run, which is a energetic hands-on modality and part of Access Consciousness, where you just clear out all kinds of stuff in your head and in your system. So there's so many gifts and tools for our bodies that we just we don't even know about. And when you start to get your hands on new information, and you can do that by taking classes, by reading books, by, you know, podcasts, and there's no shortage of information out there these days, you know. So allow your body to be part of, you know, kind of knowing what information to get your hands on. Like this book that I just finished reading, it's called Good Energy. I highly recommend it. It's by Casey Means, who actually is going to be the Surgeon General of the United States, which is so exciting to me because she's incredible. That somebody in that position could know what she knows about health is just gives me a lot of hope for the future. Um, but that's a beautiful book about metabolic health, and it's how it's connected to so many diseases and how you can easily change it. And she goes a lot into food and, some recommendations for what to eat. Or, information about fasting that was really, really helpful for me. And I used it dynamically for a while. And then my body was like, okay, maybe not fasting every day. Well, I still fast to some degree, but I just started to change it and tweak it and evolve it as my body gave me feedback. And this is the thing is like, let your body give you the feedback. Be curious about it. Be willing to be like, no, I'm not putting chocolate in my mouth right now because I don't want to do that to my body. It's not actually desiring it. Or actually, I think I want chocolate, but what would happen if I didn't eat it? And see what shows up. Or I know that I require sugar right now, and I have points of view about sugar, and sugar is bad for you, but I know my body needs sugar, and I'm going to have sugar. You know, you can be all over the map with it. That's been something for me too, is I've been eating a lot less sugar. And lately, in being in a lot of classes and things like that, a lot of times we need more sugar when we do a lot of clearing and like just energetic work. And been like, okay, my body actually is requiring more sugar. And that's been an interesting choice to do something that seems like, oh, it's kind of bad for me, but my body really is very clearly desiring it. But the way that we work with this and the way that we create our bodies with food and not food, the way that we allow our bodies to lead in I'm getting eaten by mosquitoes. I'm not your food, okay? I'm not your lunch. I'm not your dinner. I am not food for mosquitoes. Let's just be clear. But the way that we let our bodies lead is by being curious, letting go of our points of view, getting over needing to please other people with, how and what and when we eat and all that stuff. Getting over our judgments of all of it, our bodies, of food, all of it, and stepping into this space where we're curious, we're asking for different realities, we're getting our hands on new information, and we're allowing the information to give us more awareness about our unique bodies and our unique circumstances in this moment. It's an ongoing creation, it's an ongoing and ever evolving space. And I know, like right now, I know I have so much information, so much awareness. Like I've learned so much about bodies and food and health. And I mean, really, it's something that I study big time in my spare time. I study this. I study food and metabolic health like in a huge way, and and I experiment with my own body. Uh, and I know that in a year it will be completely different. Whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm playing with, it will be greater. I know that. And I know that my relationship with my body will be greater. And what I'm able to create with my body, with food, will be greater because I'm willing to be present, curious. I'm willing to choose what's uncomfortable and explore. You know, just one other thing about this idea of eating for space is so many people think that they need to use food to fill up. What if food was something that created a sense of space and expansiveness in your body, not fullness and density? It's a different reality with food. If you're looking to fill up, have more density and be full, kind of a lot of times that's where we start to check out. um, that's one thing, But what if there was a whole different universe where it was like, I feel light and healthy and resourced and alive and dynamic and vibrant and springy, and you could use food to create that. That's a pretty amazing thing. So, but only your body knows. And you have to go beyond what you think is true for your body, what you've decided is true, what you've concluded is true, and into the whole area of food and nourishment as an exploration. So, allow yourself to explore. What would it be like if you let your body lead in matters of its own, choices that you make that have to do with your body, with food, with movement, with nourishment of all forms? What if you let your body lead? I invite you to that. I invite you to Eating for Space. We start July 24th. It's going to be translated into Czech, Hungarian, and Arabic. And I really look forward to seeing what we create. Thank you so much. And I hope you and your body enjoy more than you can imagine. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me for the Creation of Living podcast. If this conversation was inspiring to you, share the love. To work privately with me or for info on my upcoming classes and retreats, go to heathernichols.com. Have a beautiful day, and remember that the world thrives when you do.